Blog Talk Radio.
Good morning, Sports City. We are here. Let's go. Hey, Sports City, we are back in the building, man. The calling number is 929-477-2759. You could have been anywhere else in the world, but you are here with the chefs. I'm feeling some type of way because I'm feeling kind of Sunday. And the crazy part about this Sunday is, well, we already had some playoff games take place as of yesterday. We have the move that everybody's been watching for the past couple of days with the soap opera, if you will, of James Harden down there in Texas. Well, now he is here in the tri-state area where I am located out here in Connecticut. Well, he's in New York, and I border New York. I'm about 45 minutes from Brooklyn, so on and so forth. Feel bad about the Knicks because it's like the show is slowly moving from the Garden to the Barclays Center, even though everybody still would love to be in the Garden because of the history behind it. But, everybody has to wait until the pandemic clears up and then we could get back to regular, situations, if you will. But, again, there's so much to talk about. Everything that went down yesterday, there was a UFC fight that was a complete no contest, but I got to give Max his credit. I'll try and dive into that as much as possible. We got you for the next 90 minutes or so to talk about the games that went down yesterday, things that happened from at least Thursday on. And I'm feeling some type of way. Sports City got a lot of stuff going on in life, just to be honest, and put a lot of the stuff up here as best as possible without I have to be transparent with you because we family, so I got to, give you as much as possible. Okay, so I'm going to try and set this off first with like the little hors d'oeuvres, if you will, before I start getting to the meat and potatoes to start entreeing this thing out. Okay, so, of course, the James Harden situation has happened. I'm going to get into a little NBA as well, including one of the pieces of the trade and Karis LeVert. It's a serious scenario because he got traded to the Pacers, and he's been ruled out now as soon as he got to Indiana because they found a mass on his kidney. So this is a serious situation, and I wonder, how long this will take. But, this guy was definitely a big piece of Brooklyn and a big piece toward this trade, no less, and especially with the move of them getting rid of Victor Oladipo, sending him down to Houston. This is looking like he's going to be one of the big pieces of the puzzle for the Pacers in their success moving forward. But, again, like I said, I don't know how long of the duration of him being out and what they have to do to try to ease the situation for him. But, he was a part of the move and definitely, looking at the way that the Pacers are in the East, I think they're definitely situated to be one of the top 8 teams to make it out of the conference playoffs. But he'd have to get accustomed to everything in the ways of the team and so on and so forth. Okay, so I'm gonna get into some of the games that took place yesterday, in which the Rockets have came back down to earth because the other day they beat the Spurs, and now they played the Spurs again, and the Spurs win this matchup 103-91, in which I think the day before when Harden had gotten traded, the Rockets had just beat the Spurs, but the Spurs bounced back and got this one. Big day from Christian Wood in a losing effort. He had 24 points and 18 rebounds. And Jacob Podol, he had 13 points, 11 rebounds off the bench. I'm not sure if he started in this game, but he's usually off of the bench. But this was a big effort for them in knocking off the Rockets. The Rockets now fall to 4-7 on the season. The Spurs are above 500 at 7-6. The next matchup I have is the Toronto Raptors taking on the Charlotte Hornets, and this was an interesting game. The Raptors win this game 116-113. In which Gordon Hayward, in a losing effort, put up 25 points. Chris Boucher had a 20.9 rebound effort in a winning manner. And I'm not sure. I don't think they're playing in Canada. I forget where they are for their home arena, but I know it's somewhere in America because people can't fly in and out of Canada. The next matchup I have is the Detroit Pistons. They actually beat Miami in Miami by 20 points. Now, here's the crazy part, right? Miami did represent the East in the playoffs last year. Unfortunately, everybody had to play in a bubble, and Miami caught, fire at the right time. The Pistons, before this game, were 2-19, were struggling to find their way, and they put it together to beat one of the interesting teams in the East, but the Heat are not having the season that they want. The Heat fall to 4-7. Jeremy Grant, the new addition out of Denver, former Thunder player, 24-9. Derrick Rose also had a good day. Bam Adebayo had 28 and 7 and 6 assisted, losing effort out of the paint. The Grizzlies pull a win off with Ja Morant making his return. They win up against the Sixers 106-104, in which Shake Milton for the Sixers went off for 28 points. He's been getting a lot of notability from players across the league and from people outside of the league with the work that he's been able to do off the bench. And especially for Philly, they need that firepower while they're working through a lot of these issues and, contact tracing situations. And, with Ja Morant back out there, he has not played since December 28th. It's a breath of fresh air to see him back to the Grizzlies. The Grizzlies are now 6-6 with that win. The Portland Trailblazers win their home matchup up against the Hawks, 112-106. Damian Lillard goes off for 36.7 rebounds and 7 assists, and Clint Capella has 25 and 15 in a losing effort. And this is the crazy part about Clint Capella. It was like they moved him from the Rockets, and he was getting those type of numbers, but he just wasn't comfortable to work with Harden or Westbrook. And it's like, this guy's a double-double guy. Like how did you move him? And now they don't really have that type of big. I mean, they have DeMarcus Cousins, but he's not on the floor as much. Christian Wood is making a name for himself, but he's more or less a forward. Like, you got rid of a big that was in your backyard. Okay, so the last of the games that I want to get into is the Orlando Magic visiting the Brooklyn Nets. Now, this is the game that a lot of people wanted to say, and I don't want to take anything away from one of the players on the other side of the ball because I am a big fan of his, and Nikola Vucevic. And it seems like for some reason he's always a double-double. His double-doubles are heavy numbers. He finished this game with 34 points, 10 rebounds, and 7 assists in a losing effort. They lost this game 122-115, right? In which, in this game, James Harden debut game, he comes off with a triple-double, 32 points, 12 rebounds, 14 assists, right? This is the first time that these guys have played, well, him and KD have played together since 2012. It's almost 9 years since these guys played together. I mean, if you want to include the Olympics, you can. But still, it's 8 or 9 years of them not playing together, and they picked up where they left off at. Now, in which, for him to have a 32-point, 12-rebound, 14-assist effort, KD goes off for 42 points, his doggone self. So it's like the power is already there, and Kyrie didn't get here yet, right? Then you got Joe Harris that put up 17. So between the three of these guys, it was 91 points, and they don't have Kyrie yet, let alone Jeff Green put up 10 points. So that makes 101 out of 122 between four players. And just looking at the rest of the team and knowing how they had to fill this out just for, minutes purposes and getting people their rest. KD and Harden played the 40 minutes out of the 48 potential minutes in the game. So they were trying to work together. I think the real good thing about the situation is that Harden worked out while, Mike D'Antoni was his coach last year. So he knows the system. I can just imagine how Steve Nash probably tried to optimize the situation. So that's amazing that they were able to hit the ground running like that between the two of them, for them to put up 74 points, even though it's the Magic. And the Magic are, at this point in time, they were 500. They just fell to 6-7 with this loss. So the Magic have been winning interesting games on this season, but for the Nets to do this right now, and Kyrie isn't on the floor, and I know they said Kyrie's probably going to come back this coming week to stop all of the hoopla or whatever. This is pandemonium. I could not wait to see how this was going to go down. And no, people, I'm not a Nets fan. I'm a diehard Thunder fan. But just to see these Thunder boys come out here to Brooklyn and set fire is something else. Okay, at the doors of the brunch, we have the villain in the building. I got to try and get him in here. Barry, welcome to the brunch. How are you feeling this morning?
Villain, I'm doing good, man. Just figured I'd come in and get a plate. I was a little hungry, so I'm like, let me go get a plate from Sports City and see what I can eat on here today. What's up, brother?
I'm trying to cook. I'm looking at these scores and definitely over the evening while the playoffs are going down, just seeing that box score, I'm like, wait, hold on. And I didn't know how I was going to come at this situation. But it was like I wanted to get everything out of the way, and everybody picking on James Harden and making a move here saying it's not going to work. This is a game against the Magic that the Magic have actually been playing good ball this season. I'm not going to say they're great or one of the top teams in the East, but they're playing decent. And for this to be their first game, like no real raw practice, they have not had a raw practice, really, and they put up 74 points together. Like, I'm waiting to see series pop up in Sports City and then just ask these questions to them because it's like, now what? Like, and this dude is playing like, he got to play with a chip on his shoulder. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. I mean, I didn't watch all of the games because I was just watching some of the football and stuff and doing some other things. But, I mean, I think it was probably one of the, if not the greatest debut of a traded player ever. I mean, I don't know the stats on it, but to get a triple-double of that magnitude in your first game after being traded is insane. And Durant put up 42. You know what I mean? Like, he didn't have such a bad game himself. He had a pretty damn good game. I mean, he looks great. I mean, can we honestly say Kevin Durant looks like he hasn't lost a step. He looks tremendous. With the driving into the lane with his 1 foot step back kind of fade away. I mean, he looks like he hasn't, like he hasn't been playing for a year and a half of basketball. He looks phenomenal. But it's funny because Harden still looks like, like Mark Henry, but he's balling like James Harden. You know what I mean? And it goes to show you that he wanted out of Houston, and he just was not trying. I mean, clearly he just was nailing it in and wasn't doing anything to help that team. And I saw a comment from Dwayne Wade, and he basically came out and said, the way he went about it to get traded was it right? No, but, I mean, you can't put a price tag on happiness, and he looked happy out there. He looked engaged. When I think Kevin Durant had at one point missed the layup or something like that, and you can see Harden about to check into the game, clapping and encouraging, come on, it's all right, get back. Like you can see him engaged in the game. He was smiling. There's no price tag on state of mind. So, but that game, he got off to a slow start, but then picked it up in the second quarter and got going. And, they don't have all the chemistry yet and, haven't played a lot of games and still have to fit in Kyrie Irving to the mix. But you can see when he is on, he is one of the best players in the league, like we've said. And, this team can only get better. They're going to have their bumpy patches throughout the season. They're losing games and not playing defense. But, this is a team. This is a formidable team.
And the one thing that I see right now is like I said, with Danton leaving Houston, getting a job with Steve Nash, and it's like, okay, he went and got his old coach, but it's like, okay, you also got Harden here who just ran the last, 5 seasons or so with D'Antoni. So it's like there's basically got to be the same system. That's how he's able to get the 32 points, and they said this is the best debut in NBA history for him to have a 30-point effort triple-double. This is the best start anywhere, let alone when Kyrie comes. The firepower that they can have, the one thing I am hoping for Kyrie is that he's still in condition. Like, I don't want to say in shape because, of course, he's in shape, but it's like everybody's in mid-season form, and he's been, hanging out, chilling out, doing what he needs to do, So that's one thing I'm worried about. If he comes out there and it's still, like, I want to even be fair with the numbers. If he's still over 44% from the field and hitting, like, 40% from 3 or 35% from 3, danger. Like I don't know how you're going to stop it because it's like they're going to spread the floor out. Kyrie can operate on one side of the floor, and Harden can work from the left side of the floor, and KD's floating around all over the floor. What are you going to do? Like, what are you going to do? And I love it now because it's like, okay, LeBron did the best thing that he could do was stack up the Lakers and make them look like the powerhouse team that nobody can stop. Well, now it's at least a team that could potentially threaten them or knock them off convincingly. And I'd rather see a knockoff convincingly than just watch LeBron try to trample his way to another championship and him looking like he's the powerhouse of the league. I don't think it was fair the way that a lot of the players just gravitated to the Lakers and he turned the Lakers into the early 2010 Heat. And everybody was trying to find their way to Miami to try and ring chase, and that's kind of turned into the culture of the NBA, if you will,
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Listen, it appeared on paper that the way the Lakers added Gasol and company that they were on the fast track to get another ring. He was going to get number 5, and then you're talking about putting him in with Michael Jordan, blah, blah, blah. And now it's like it's going to be harder to do that now if this team is, what we think they can be at the end of the year. So it kind of, honestly, I think outside of, I was going to say maybe a couple of Heat series, I think for the most part, and when the Clippers got eliminated, it was pretty much a foregone conclusion that the Lakers were going to win. And I don't even think I watched the finals because I just was like, I'm not interested. I know the Lakers are a better team. I know they're going to win. It's just a matter of 5 or 6 games. The Heat, put on a great effort. Jimmy Butler to get Game 5 to push them to 6 games, and the Lakers eventually took the series. But it was just like it was inevitable that you knew the Lakers were going to win. Now it's like, okay, it's like back in the 80s when you knew the Celtics and the Lakers were going to meet in the finals, and then it was just basically, all right, who was going to get tripped up? Was the Lakers going to get tripped up by the Rockets? Were the Celtics going to get tripped up by the 76ers and Dr. J? But for the most part, you knew who was going to be at the finals, and you knew it was going to be a slugfest. This is kind of what you're setting up for this year with the Lakers and the Nets, albeit these two teams, stay healthy and do what they're supposed to do. So I think it does build a little bit more intrigue, and it gave a little juice. I mentioned in the blog on our website that, just everything that happened that day with that trade, I think with the impeachment and all that, we were still talking about the mega deal that went down. You know what I mean? So it's crazy. It's crazy.
Now, I wish people would say who won this trade. It's like this is a no-brainer answer. Like if you say anything other than Brooklyn, I just love the debate. We can go pot for pot, pan for pan, plate for plate.
I'd love to go back and forth. I listen, because you're right. Listen, how can you if you get the best player in the deal, you won, right? That's usually common. Just the common thought about trades in any league. And I think Brooklyn won this trade. They got the better player. It's hard to say Houston won the trade. I think Houston got what they wanted, and I think that's a great thing. But until this pans out, you don't know, because it's like, all right, we could take the big Brooklyn trade that they did with the Celtics years ago to get Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett, et cetera, et cetera. At that point, when it happened, everybody said Brooklyn won that trade. But now, in hindsight, after a couple of years, that trade brought the Celtics Tatum and Brown, right? So, and then more draft capital to bring in guys like Kemba Walker. At first it was draft capital to bring in Kyrie Irving, and then they flipped it for Kemba. But at that point, it was Tatum, Brown, and then Irving, the draft capital. So maybe a couple of years later, the Nets, they got the players they wanted at that point. Those players got old, long in the tooth, and then they had no future because they had no draft picks. So it's like with the Rockets, they got the picks and they got the pick swaps, but you don't know how those picks pan out, because the Knicks had a top 8 pick, and you could say, okay, they got Obi Top, they maybe should have drafted Halliburton. So, and then, you know what I mean? Like, that pick is a pick, but you don't know if it's going to pan out. You don't know if it's going to be a Tatum, or you don't know if it's going to be a Kwame Brown. to get way back.
Right, and that's a freak situation because it's like you don't know a rookie that's going to hit the ground running. Like you think a rookie's going to come in the league and try to get beat up that first year and then come into the league and then try to find their way. So I definitely get you. It's like you're not going to run into too many, I want to say Derrick Roses, or Tatum's like you're saying, or rookies that had that campaign and you like, wow, like this was great, like for them to have the turnover, or LaMelo Ball, because LaMelo Ball is playing good ball. But a lot of the rookies that you get to come in the league, they're waiting behind somebody that they're waiting to either fizzle out or waiting for like business reasons to see if they keep them or move them, things of that nature. So, it's a given to say the least.
Yeah, and to your point, TP, look at where like George, like Paul George and Leonard were drafted late round. So even though you have that top 10 lottery pick, whatever, you don't know how it's going to pan out. You may have a late round, first round pick that turns into a diamond in the rough. You know what I mean? Like, people, if you had to do, there's a lot of times where you have a draft and then you have a redraft, like you say, where you guys should have been taken. Like maybe Damian Lillard, he was the second or third pick, but could he arguably be the best player in that draft when he was drafted? You know what I'm saying? Like, a Kawhi Leonard or Paul George in their drafts or late rounds, if you redrafted them, they probably go in the top 3. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's really up to who's drafting, the scouting. Do they fit your system, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? Because you can hit on it, you can pick a player, but you don't know where they're going to end up, and you don't know how it's going to turn out.
Or you could end up being a Stores product and being Hasheem Thabit and being a second pick of the draft and end up in the D League. So stuff like that.
Thanks for bringing that up. When's the last time the Hoyas had a lottery pick? Asking for a friend.
Hold on, I'm just going along with what you're doing. Like Jesus, I'm trying to work with you here.
I'm just asking for a friend. It's fine.
I'm just trying to work with you here, man. I'm saying, like, you try to pick up a draft pick and thinking he's a 7'3" center out of Africa, and they said, you know what, we got a better place for you. You can, work down here and try to work your way up. And then next the Thunder find him and put him in the roster. Like, so great. So see, I am working with you. So see, look at you. I'm telling you because you my brother and friend. So how about that?
No,
okay.
I appreciate it, but you couldn't help but get a little dig at UConn. So. How the Hoyas doing?
We're just as bad as you guys.
No, UConn's ranked number 25. We're 7-1. Holla at your boy. Okay, we're back in the Big East. All right. Put some respect on our name.
This is the first year of relevance. When is the last time you've been ringing about UConn?
We would have made it. We would have made it.
Answer question.
No, I'm answering your question. It's been a couple years, but we would have made the tournament last year if there was a tournament because we were 19-12, and we were about to roll in. We were getting hot at the end. Some nice wins. I think we had beat. I don't remember who did we beat. We beat a couple teams late in the season. Some good wins. So I don't want to say it was Houston. It was another team, but we were 19-12. Going to get 20 wins. I think 20 wins will get you in the tournament. If we had won one game in our AAC tournament, I think we would have gotten to the tournament. So the first time in a couple of years that we hadn't made the tournament in a couple of years. With first year under Dan Hurley. So 7-1 this year. Book night hurt. That kind of sucks. He had elbow surgery. But that's gonna. I think we're gonna take a couple of losses, to be honest with you, without our best player, Book Night. But, listen, UConn's playing some good basketball. We're back home. It's like I wanted to hear that song, TB. I'm coming home. I'm coming home. I'm coming. Yeah, come on, baby. We back in the Big East. You scared of us now. You scared.
Look, y'all playing nobodies. This is the cupcake part of the schedule, and 19-12 would not get you an automatic bid into the tournament, especially with what losses. Wait, I let you speak. Why when I start cooking, I put up 7 words and there you go. Like why Why is it like that?
It's disrespectful how you talk about my team. It's disrespectful. Come on. I didn't say it was an automatic bid, but we would have made – I think we would have got – we're a bubble team that would have got in. 20 wins will get you in. 19, 21 wins will get you in. I asked you
a question, and you didn't even answer it. You told me how the schedule looked last year. I'm telling you, when was the last time you were so hyped about UConn instead of this year? And you said a couple years. No, I said when. No, you were not hype about a 19-12 season. You were not hype about a 19-12 season.
I was excited because we were stinking before that. We were a 500 team before that, so I was excited.
You're lying on a Sunday. This is bad. Like you're lying on a Sunday. I can't even get you to give me the floor to talk. I can't get my questions answered. Like I don't know what to do. Like this is brutal, and I'm cooking. Like this is the worst part about it. Like how do I cook it? They up there taking the pots and pans and running with them. Like I don't know.
Listen, come on. You happy the villains here. You're happy I'm here because you wouldn't be talking about UConn. This wouldn't brighten your day. You wouldn't be talking about UConn. Come on, brother.
To be, and we fell all the way to UConn. That's all I said was the team to be. I said Source and the team to be. I didn't say nothing else. People looking and they pushed. They were pin this to me. I'm telling you.
You tried to be a villain. You tried to get a little dig at my Huskies, so because you're the real dogs in the Big East. You did. What's the beat? Of all the buffs that you had to bring up, you brought up Hasheem to beat. Okay, that was you. That wasn't me. I went way back to Kwame Brown. You had to bring up a UConn product. You had to do it. You couldn't help yourself.
You can't teach. Wait, hold on. You can't teach 7'3". You can't teach that. You can't teach 7'3". Just stand there and protect the rim and block everything. We're going to pay you a couple $1 million to make sure that you can keep blocking shots. Your offense will follow, but defense is critical. Mm-hmm. And he couldn't even do that, and you know that. Right. 7'3", like how many people in the league 7'3"? One. JaVale McGee 7'3".
Hold on.
No, two. I got
to answer something. Hold on.
Okay, well I'll let you do what you got to do. Okay, so I'm gonna move on Sports City because this is what I'm getting beat up with. This is first things first right now, Sports City. Y'all getting the raw out of the building now. Here's the interesting thing that I got. Exactly. Like, what do you mean? Well, okay.
Go ahead, cook. I'll sit here and eat like a good boy. I'll be a good boy.
You see Sports City? They humming through my words. They won't let me say nothing. They laughing like with the devilish laugh. Like I'm telling you on a Sunday, lying in front of the people. Okay, so now I want to put you in an uncomfortable situation, Barry, and I'm also uncomfortable about the situation because I'm going to be talking junk about myself also. So in the world of college sports, especially in college basketball, where we are right now, right? Do you think just because a specific person has a big name that they deserve to stay there just because of their name's sake, or that the way that they have been performing on their the team's situation or on the sideline, that they have to move on? And with me saying this, I am going to point the finger at myself with one that has been bothering me for the past 3 years, and especially in the past 2 years. He's watched everybody go, and Patrick Ewing. Patrick Ewing is the head coach of the Georgetown Hoyas, and these guys are heavily 500. They are at the bottom of the Big East, and they are not performing like Georgetown is known for, whether it was John Thompson III, whether it was John Thompson Jr., Eshwick. Like, I'm just thinking of all of the coaches that have been with Georgetown. It really wasn't many, but it's kind of fumbled. And now, in the NBA trying to stay away from Patrick Ewing, they weren't trying to give him a head coaching position. It's like, look at what he has. You know what I'm saying? Now he's in Georgetown, and they've fallen since he's been head coach. And it's like his name is that big. And then here goes another name, right? And this is where it gets heavier for me. It's going to get heavier and heavier every time I do this. Roy Williams, the head coach of North Carolina. They are not playing up to par right now. They don't look like a North Carolina team. Now, Roy's resume is way better than Patrick's. It's different. Roy has national championships with an S. He didn't just win one. He has several. But he struggled the last 2 seasons. Last year, I think they were under 500. He gets a lot of the top recruits throughout the nation. And right now, I'm like personally watching it because, of course, I know a ton of North Carolina fans, including my brother. But there's also a Stanford kid in his backcourt that starts. Even though he went to high school in White Plains, his family and him, they're from Stanford, and R.J. Davis. They're saying that R.J. Davis is not comfortable within that system, and it's not more or less the system, it's more or less R.J. But it's like, what do you do to turn that around, Roy Williams, to make this better? Because North Carolina is losing games that they should be winning, right? And to put icing on the cake to make this even more tougher, John Calipari, the head coach of Kentucky University now, or University of Kentucky, I think it's UK. It might be UK or KU.
Yeah,
I think no, it's
UK.
Okay. Last year they didn't look good. I want to say for the past 3 or 4 years, he's lost a game to a non-ranked, a school under the radar that you wouldn't think that they'll end up beating Kentucky, whether it's in Rupp Arena or at another location. They've ended up doing this for the past 4 years. This has happened to Calipari. And the start that they're off to is incredible. And it's like, one thing myself, I don't like to talk about people losing their job or trying to find work, because I know how hard it is in the world today. But it's like the capacity of the way that these guys are coaching is absolutely incredible, especially for a guy of Calipari's stature and manner, because everybody goes to Kentucky because they can do the one and done. They could go there for a year, perform, get to the tournament. They could bounce in the first round, and whoever is the quality 7-footer or the quality guard will be a first-round pick going into the league and in front of millions of dollars. Do you think this is a situation that should continue, or should these universities move away from coaches that we know respectively because of their namesake?
All right, so with Calipari and Roy Williams, it's tough. I mean, Calipari, I think, is more built for college. He's made a living, like you said, off the one and done. If anybody can kind of get it turned around and get the right talent in there, I think it's him, but I think he probably needs to adjust his philosophy. I think the one and done is kind of hurting him a little bit. He's not able to build a program for a couple years, by heavily recruiting, guys that aren't going to stay. I think he's missing out on kids that need to be, can play but need to get developed. So I think that's a point. I think with Roy, I think it's just basically, I think it's just a lull period. I think, Duke went through it a couple years. They had some down years, and Coach K bounced back and got to the top of the league. So maybe this is North Carolina's, down year. Not all the programs can stay on top forever. I mean, they have periods where they're up and down. Kansas is up and down. Michigan State. Michigan has been down more than up. But, like these big power schools, UCLA, I don't think has ever really bounced back to being 11-time champion. So, they've been down more than them up. So, for North Carolina to have that long sustained excellence and then I think you can afford, especially with Roy Williams' resume, I think you can afford it for him to, kind of figure it out, unless he doesn't want to and he wants to step away. Maybe, he's old where the game is kind of passing by. Maybe they need a young voice. Who knows? But I don't. My brother's a North Carolina fan. I don't really follow North Carolina to know the intricacies of what's going on with the coaching, but for me, from the outside looking in, I think Roy Williams is a great coach, and maybe you give him a little time to kind of figure it out. With Patrick Ewing, you tell me, TP, because I've seen some of his games, and they're close in some games. They lose in overtime. They're not getting bullied, but to me, they're not really recruiting that star. He hasn't brought in that one big star to help really build the program around. Is it the recruiting? Is he not getting the right talent there, TP?
He brought in the star. He had James Akinjo, he brought in from California, I think, if I'm not mistaken. That's where his location is, a quality point guard, even though Akinjo got into some trouble. He had to, sit down for the remainder of the year, and then he left. But I could tell the reason why Akinjo left is because Akinjo came there first, and he got the biggest name in college basketball outside of Zion Williamson in that year, and Mac McClung. And Mac McClung was one of the quality point guards out of Virginia and probably one of the biggest names in the Big East. And Mac McClung left Mac McClung was just with Georgetown, transferred to Texas Tech. Like, I think Mac went to Georgetown just to get the experience of being around a coach that's been in the NBA and as big as a dream team member of Patrick Ewing caliber, like not just settling to go to Kentucky or, hell, he's from Virginia. He could have went to the University of Virginia and went with the Cavaliers. He left, go a state or two away in the D.C. and being around Patrick, and it didn't benefit him. Now he's down with Texas Tech, and Texas Tech actually has the experience of getting into the 20 and getting to the Final Four. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you watch this happen, and watching guys like LeBlanc leave and having those names be in there and relying on a guy like Jamarco Pickett, who Jamarco Pickett is a build of Kevin Durant and tries to play like him, but he doesn't have that quality game. And it's like you hear Patrick say things on the sideline more or less stressing to yell at these guys instead of having a game plan. Like even within the timeout, like hearing him try to come up with schematics, it never works. It never translates to the floor. And it's like I respect that because you are a historical player in NCAA history, let alone for Georgetown as a university. But your game doesn't translate into your coaching. And you're coaching from a big man's perspective where your big men don't even play like you're noted of playing. Like these guys don't play like Pat. They're not big defensive guys or that can score the ball. You know what I'm saying? It's like they're opportunistically scoring. You know, and the situation I'm looking at the rest of them with, like Roy Williams, there's no way Roy Williams is losing these games with powerhouse teams like he's having, like with the recruits that he's getting. There's no way that Kentucky is sitting right now 4-8 on the season right now, and we didn't even get to February yet. Like that.
I watched one of those games, TP. They didn't really look good. It was defensively. It was defensively they didn't look good.
They lost to Auburn. And granted, Auburn is in the SEC, so this is a rivalry kind of, you know. The highest score for Kentucky, and this is a Calipari team, 8 points.
Wow.
8 points. You mean somebody got to the rim 4 times or shot 4 jumpers and that was it, or got to the free throw line? like what? And like okay, granted, and this is what bothers me about Calipari because he just like you said, you said it, you hit the nail on the head. But that one and done was going to hurt him. He's getting a lot of players that's coming in and one and done. You're bringing in freshmen and hoping that they can lock down juniors and seniors that are waiting to pummel an 18-year-old kid out of Brooklyn or something like that. Like, yeah, you think you tough? Come here, let me show you. I'm from Iowa and I eat corn and drink milk every day. Like stop that. Like, and take their lunch. And that's what's happening. And it's looking bad for them to lose to teams like Evansville or the ones that you like. Yo, they should at least bounce back in this one. And Kentucky will lose. And just looking at Calipari, and it's like, that's it, and you're going to respond how you're going to respond, like, because you know he has that aura about him, which I respect because you want to be yourself. You don't want to be scripted, so I respect him. But it's like your coaching is turning out to be this way. The other coach that I leave to put the cherry on top, but I know he will never move, is Coach K. And Coach K is finally in a season where he's in a down year. Like, Duke is not playing like we know Duke to be playing. But see, Barry's rubbing off on me, and this is where it bothers me to do this. But it's like I got that evil grin. I got that evil laugh with me because it's like Coach K has been picking on the entire nation on recruit after recruit after recruit. He'll end up getting 7 All-Americans in the Duke, and it's like they're terrorizing people. And the only time you got a shot at knocking them off is at the end of the season in February or somewhere in the ACC tournament or definitely in the Big Dance. That's the only shot you got. But from like November on, he's pummeling teams by 50 points. The Citadel trying to go into Cameron Indoor, getting beat by 80 points at halftime. It's like enough is enough. But now that it's like the game has caught up to him and he's finally had a down year, and this is supposedly his down year out of all 37 years or 38, 30, I don't know how many years he's coached, that he's always had stacked teams, and it's like finally this one, that's why I won't bother Coach K because Coach K's earned it. Like, I'm not going to lie. Like, I'm not a Coach K fan, but I will attest that he's the best coach in college basketball ever. Like, because he's done it all, you know. He's won the championships. He's gotten talent. Yes, ever.
Wow.
I give it to him. Like John Wooden. John Wooden would be the name, but it's like John Wooden did it in an era where it was Kareem and Walton, and it's like, who else? You know what I'm saying? Like, there was no powerhouses around UCLA that was going to stop UCLA right now. Now we're in the era of the bigger, stronger, faster, and Coach K is not only able to get the recruits to come there, Like, he still has, I think it's 5. He has 5 championships from the 80s till now. So, like, he's the only coach that's doing it. Like, Bob Knight had, 1 or 2 championships, and Dean Smith had 2 championships. I think there's something like that. Yeah, 2 championships with Dean Smith. So it's like the name I'm throwing in the hat, it'd be like, it's interesting discussion, but, like, Coach K is as much as possible, I think. Like, and I'd love to have that debate, but, it the only one that you're going to put in the circle with him is Wooden.
That's the guy. I literally, I can't. Listen, I totally agree that Coach K is right there, and it's always that new versus old school mentality. But to me, I don't know how you don't put respect on Wooden's name just for what he did, and it's crazy. I have to do it. I have to say Wooden's going to be 1, but it's a fair argument. It's a fun argument too. But I personally have to put Wooden number 1. But either way, we can talk about that for hours. But I agree. I agree with you. Coach K is down, and the game I was talking about was the Kentucky-Alabama game. They just got blown out. It was just an ugly game. Like, they just were not. It was an ugly game. Ugly game. I've never seen. Listen, last year or the year before, before they had got hot in the tournament, they made a deep run. They were struggling, and I think we talked about it. And it was like they just weren't playing defense. And it was like if they can figure out their defense, they'll be able to play, and they did figure it out. But this team doesn't look like they're going to figure it out. I just never seen the defense this bad. So, but Coach K, I think, he's a guy that he writes his own check. I think you can kind of say when he's ready to go, he'll go. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I kind of let him. I would let him decide, like when he wants to leave.
That's what I'm saying. Like as much junk as I'm talking, it's like Coach K, you get a pass. But everybody else I just mentioned, especially Calipari, listen to this. Calipari, with all of the one and dones that he's gotten, right? This is the crazy part. All of the one and dones gotten, he has 1 national championship. 1. And the one that he got was the year that Anthony Davis dominated college basketball and couldn't nobody come in the paint. Like, he was protecting the rim at the rim or even around the free throw line. He was that long to block shots. Like, and he was scoring the ball and dunking on everybody. Nobody can handle that. And that's the same situation I look at with John Wooden in the discussion. Because it was like the best athlete out in the nation was on your team. Like, give or take, when Kareem and Bill Walton were on UCLA, they were so good as players that they made a rule that they couldn't dunk the ball in college basketball because nobody could stop Kareem or Bill Walton. Like, as soon as they got out the game, then it's like, okay, people could dunk again. And it was like, everybody going crazy on the rim. But it was like just to make it fair because Kareem had them, 88-2 or something like that. And then Walton carried on a perfect season, too. It's like nobody was that size. These guys are ogres. You got a 7-foot guy out of New York City. I mean, you got a 7-footer from the West Coast that's a hippie and dunking on everybody. Like, come on, like it was a different era. Now everybody's almost the same. You can match up well, and Coach K's not only doing it, but burying people with the 3-point shot. But the crazy part is now figured out Duke or is actually recruited somewhat to like counteract what they're doing. So that's why I'm like Coach K. Like Coach K got to do, but to me. Coach K got to do bad for like 5 years in a row. Like, it got to be bad. Like, it got to be like he can't call no play. Like, his evil look with that grill and with his nose like that, that doesn't work anymore. Like, before I start being like, listen, Coach K ain't got it no more. It got to be 5 years straight of him doing that. Otherwise, Coach K going to bounce back and have that game on a Saturday afternoon where you, like, turn it to ABC and you see the score. You like, man, turn the channel. Like that game was over. Like, what? Heck no, man. So, like, but the rest of these dudes, especially Pat, like, again, I don't like talking about my team, but this one is personal. Like, I'm at that point where Patrick has to go. Patrick has to go. He's losing games. Listen, there will be games that Georgetown is up by, like, 12 at the half. They'll lose by, like, 16. Like, there was a game I want to say, like,
I didn't expect you to say that, TP. I really didn't.
I you know I'm a diehard. So I watch these games. Like watching the transition of you losing a 12-point lead, it's like, okay, you know teams are going to get their momentum. They call a timeout. They start clapping it up. They tie it up. They back in the game. But for you to not only lose the lead, but then you're facing a double-digit loss at the end of the game, what are you saying to these kids in the locker room? How are you turning this around? You are under 500 with a 3 to 4 win season right now. This is Georgetown, the team that you helped make big. And you as a coach, you are not holding up the John Thompson Jr. standard. Rest his soul that he just passed away. They teams that have a chip on their shoulder because John Thompson Jr. passed away. They don't. They worried about you yelling at them because you're the 7-foot dream team player that don't even look like it. I'm not buying that, Pat. Like everybody respects you because of your legacy on the floor. They do not respect you as a coach on the sideline. The whole NBA passed you over. The whole NBA did it for a decade straight. Everybody's like, why Pat can't get a job? And you left to go to Georgetown because that's where you're from and they love you there, and you're not doing a damn thing in D.C. A damn thing.
I mean, you know, it's hard to argue that, and I don't know. I mean, maybe there was a reason that he got passed over for the NBA. Maybe they knew something. But how long has he been there? Is it 3 years? 2, 3 years? It's been 3 years, right?
It's been 3 years. 3 years.
You know, unless this team really falls on its face. I mean, I can't give him 3 years. You got to give him some time to get some recruits. I think in college you got to give him 4 to 5 years to, you know, and some coaches turn around quicker. And, you know, he doesn't have the experience. I've been there. He's been on NBA teams for learning to coach, and then he's going into the college game, you know, and even Juwan Howard in Michigan, you know, they got off to a good start. And then they started to kind of come back down to earth. So maybe these guys just need some time. Do you think Juwan Howard?
Look at Juwan Howard. But it's like you said, look at Juwan Howard. Juwan Howard is Michigan turned around. They're a top 10 team. Like, you don't even have them in the top 25. Like, even when the preseason started, Georgetown wasn't even considered. They like in the 108 ranks. Like, this, you are a dream team player. I could imagine. Listen, and I know Mike wouldn't do it because Mike got too much money. But picture Michael Jordan being a head coach somewhere. You think if Michael Jordan had his team 108 or in the realm of that? Like, you got, or the hell, who do I pick? Like, Pippen? Like, stop.
Listen, Michigan's
I feel bad because he has those losing ways out of the Garden, so it's like it's attached to him.
Stop it. See, villainous. This is villainous. See, everybody thinks you're the hero. You're not. You're not the hero around here. I'm trying to save people from themselves. You just keep walking that edge and blaming me. It's my fault. I'm rubbing off on you.
I didn't blame you for anything. I didn't. You're in the clear.
Juwan Howard is having a great season. Yes. No, listen, they're 11-1, number 7 in the country. Michigan's having a great season so far. Juwan Howard's a big part of that. And on the flip side, you got Patrick Ewing, who can't get it going. So, you know, that almost goes against my argument. But it's like, maybe it's the Nick in me that wants to give Patrick Ewing a chance, and because you can look at Juwan Howard and Ewing as the same kind, a long-time assistants in the league, in the NBA, finally getting a chance to coach. They start at college, and, like, one's going one way and one's kind of going the other way. So maybe Pat can turn it around. I hope he can. I mean, I hope he can because Patrick Ewing's a good guy. I hope he can't because who cares about Georgetown? It's all about UConn. But listen, I'm serious though. I think he can. I think he can turn it around. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Maybe this is my heart talking. My affinity for Patrick Ewing, like when he comes back to the Garden, he's royalty. But you know, hopefully he can figure it out.
See, and he's telling you that this is his affection for him because he's a Knick guy. I'm trying to tell you, you gotta remove that. You see me, I'm picking on him, man. I'm a Georgetown guy. This is my own organization. He took it on the chin for him. Oh, stop it. Look, this is the personal situation. I'm telling him I'm pointing the finger at me. I'm talking about, and this I'm trying. And then I can't say nothing about the loser ways in the garden. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. It's attached to him, like it's stuck to him. You know, like I don't know a way for him to get away from it. But I blame, Manhattan for these problems. Okay, so now that we got that out of the way, we are at the latter part of the show. We have a little over the 30-minute mark left, and I'm going to get into the games that took place yesterday and get our thoughts and views on the games that are going to take place today, and then get our picks as well. So first and foremost, the first game that went down, which I kind of figured it would, was the Rams going into Green Bay playing the Packers, and the Packers having probably one of the best offenses still in the game right now, or at least of this season. And I found it hard for Los Angeles to go into Lambeau to steal this one. And they made it a game. They got it to 18-25 to make it a one-possession game, and it was like once Aaron put that last score up on the board, it was just I think it was more or less out of reach for them to have that double-digit situation, and the Rams losing this game 32-18. 32-18. Your thoughts on the situation while they had Aaron Donald having an injury situation and playing injured, and he didn't finish the game, and with Goff not being at his full potency, big day out of Aaron Rodgers, 23 passing completions, 296 yards thrown, 2 touchdowns. Aaron Jones had 14 carries, 99 yards, and 1 touchdown. Shout out to Aaron Jones because he is a friend and follower of Sports City too, so I do salute him on that. But your thoughts on the Packers moving on to the NFC Championship and the way they played this game?
Yeah, definitely. Shout out to Aaron Jones, contract year. He's about to get his money. Aaron Rodgers, MVP. That's an MVP. I mean, it's just another day of the office. You were wondering which Rams defense was going to show up, the one that, played against the Seahawks and just confused and befuddled that team, or the one that played against the Jets and, couldn't do anything. And unfortunately, he got the one that played against the Jets. I think Aaron Donald, he wasn't 100%. And, they tried to say that, him coming in and out of the game wasn't related to his injury, but you can probably tell, that rib injury was probably affecting him a little bit more, and he was probably on some type of pitch count. Listen, it's funny because the Packers figure out that they're going to Davante Adams, and, I think he's got, 20 touchdowns this year, and you still can't stop it. I mean, that goal line play where he, was in motion, and you can see that it was man, and you knew exactly – once you sprinted down the line that it was going to be a quick, a little fade out, and I just swung it quickly and got the touchdown. They just know how they know how to get Davante Adams the ball, and even if you think you can shut him down, you can't, because they figured out they know how to get their best player the ball, and that's one of the things that I think. Being a Giants fan, that the Giants couldn't figure out how to get Odell Beckham the ball. And the Packers know how to get Davante Adams the ball, and it helps to have the best quarterback in the game right now as we play. I mean, he may not be – Mahomes may be the best quarterback, but this year Aaron Rodgers is the MVP. He's the guy. The defense played pretty well. Goff had a pretty solid game, but just couldn't match Aaron Rodgers. I think they made a game of it, and then Aaron Rodgers, like you said, late in the game, kind of put some salt on it and put it away. Packers hosting the championship game next week. Even if there's not a lot of fans in that stadium, it's still a tough place to play. And they proved why. They're the best team in the NFC by far.
Okay, so since he does that, right, Sports City, and I love the fact that he went that route, right? So the next game we have are how do I do this? The Baltimore Ravens visiting the Buffalo Bills. And let me counteract his situation. The NFL MVP is Josh Allen. Period. Who would have expected Josh Allen to have the same record on the season as Aaron Rodgers? Aaron Rodgers is 13-3. Josh Allen is 13-3. Aaron Rodgers is 7-1 at home. Josh Allen 7-1 home. And who would expect Buffalo to be sitting at the top of the AFC? Sitting at the top of the AFC. And this is the crazy part, like the same way I look at Rodgers. I got to see Rodgers 2 times a year anyway, and I just panic because Detroit defense can't slow them down at all. That's why it's like, well, if that's the case, if the defense gets off down, Stafford got to score with them, and Stafford can't score the ball at the clip that Rodgers can. So it's like, just hoping that something go wrong in that game that we could pull it off. So the same fear that I have toward trying to play Rodgers in that matchup, I look at Josh Allen. Every time he come out the huddle, it's like a mystique about him. Like he's ready, right? And then it's like he's in shotgun. It's like he's almost as dangerous. Like if I gave them the head up, like player for player, like I give Rodgers the knock because I've been watching Rodgers for the past 15 years, 16 years, especially when he was at the University of Cal, and everybody picked on him and his mechanics. How he always had his arms above his head. He played like an Army quarterback. Like he was so structured and fundamentally sound. And now it's like watching him when he say hike, he hold the ball at his hips and like he waiting for somebody to get open, pat the ball and make the throw. Like Aaron Rodgers is that dude. But then it's like watching Josh Allen when he gets his shotgun. It's like it's almost unfair because when he says hike and those defensive ends try to contain him, he steps up in the pocket and he'll run, bury you for the first down, or if not, and he's getting that time, he has the arm to make that 40 to 60-yard pass on the nose, and Diggs is there. So now it's like these dudes believe in each other. Like they have the team that could probably knock off the Chiefs. They probably can end up doing it, and let alone it's Josh Allen going up against the Chiefs, and this will probably be in Arrowhead. If and I can't just count the Browns out. The Cleveland may pull this off somehow. If Baker get it done, James Greenwood, I don't know where you at, but you better get back in this kitchen. I'm not trying to hear you. Better get back in. I'm gonna rip your head off if the Browns get to the AFC Championship. But it's like, this dude is in the AFC Championship with the Bills. With the Bills. Like, last time we seen this, it was a Miami quarterback named Jim Kelly up there getting them the Super Bowl. Like, we were not thinking the Bills doing this. They are doing this right now. Right now. Up against the Ravens team, got the deep charge up to slow down Lamar Jackson, even though Lamar got knocked out the game. But come on, like, they better put some respect on somebody named me able to do this against Baltimore's defense. Against Baltimore's defense, Diggs had 106 yards receiving. Like, come on. He did what it took to knock them off. But I do have Aaron in the building, and I'm not talking Rodgers. Aaron, welcome to the brunch. How are you feeling today? It's giving me technical difficulty, people. I'm trying to get them in here. So there we go. I got it working for now. So, Aaron, welcome to the brunch. How are you feeling this morning?
You know what, gentlemen, I'm good. It's a pleasure to be here with you guys on another edition of a Sunday show, man. Let's get it.
Okay, so Barry, your thoughts on this situation here, with I guess me answering your MVP claims, and this is going to get bigger than expected because we do have the other games as well. But I mean, your thoughts on how this game went down with Buffalo and Baltimore, and your thoughts on Josh Allen on the season.
Listen, it's a shame that Lamar got knocked out, concussion protocol. I think he kind of would have, he was driving them down into that pick six. But if he didn't throw that pick six, it's probably a tie game and it's anybody's ball game. So the Tide really turned on that pick six, that 101 yard, I think was a record. Interception in the playoffs, and then the fact that he got knocked out and he took a hit. His head hit that ground hard. So I'm not surprised he did not come back. So it's a shame because it's going to go as a loss on his record, but it kind of like he didn't really get to finish the game and kind of do what he needed to do. He might have been able to pull it out. You never know. But respect to the Bills, man. We said it last week. I said it. That's a good football team, and I picked them to get to the championship game. That is a good football team. Josh Allen is not the MVP candidate only because Aaron Rodgers. But Josh Allen is that dude. And there was an article saying, how Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson's careers are probably going in opposite directions, and I don't think that's fair to say to Lamar Jackson. But if you told me 2 years ago Josh Allen would be in this position, not only taking a team to the championship, but playing like a real top-flight quarterback, because you probably would have said, he would have taken them to the championship game, running the football, relying on the defense, scrambling, all that kind of stuff. But no, this guy is throwing the football. He has progressed as a passer, leaps and bounds. he looks like a legit quarterback in this league. And it's only Buffalo hasn't had that quarterback since Jim Kelly. They've been searching for that quarterback. They've gone through Doug Flutie. They've gone through some. Who was the quarterback that they had when Flutie took the job? I can't even remember his name. He used to play for the Jaguars. Terrible quarterback. But, I mean, they've been looking for quarterbacks forever. And to finally draft one and hit on it, they had E.J. Emanuel from Florida State. That didn't work out. Tyrod Taylor was a good quarterback. It didn't really kind of pan out. But to draft this kid and then now to see where the fruits of the labor, this is a good football team. And defensively as well. They're a good defensive football team. They were a couple of years ago. And now they got the receiver in Diggs. This is a team that on the road, if they have to go to Kansas City or if they, like you said, the Browns somehow win the game, which I think they have a shot, albeit a smaller shot, but they have a shot. They're a good football team too. Do you want to go into Buffalo and play that team? I don't know. They're playing some good football right now. They've been playing good football all year. This is a scary team. Like Kansas City, you think, the Titans put some fear into you last year in that championship game? This Buffalo team could put some fear into you, and you might not come back on them. This is a good football team.
Just like you said, who wants to go to Buffalo and play? It's like they have that home field advantage now because their fans are getting into that building, and they are hyped. Like the Bills are hyped off playing in front of them. You know what I'm saying? And just like you said, and it's funny because I'm more of a Lamar Jackson fan while the rest of the nation picks on him. And I feel like if he wasn't the man with one gun, like if he went into this joint with a cavalry, then it'd be fair. But it's him, Hollywood Brown, Mark Andrews. And I threaten you to name somebody else other than J.K. Dobbins as the running back and Gus. Shout out to Gus because Gus is a homie and a friend of Sports City as well, too. But, other than the running back, everybody knows Baltimore's going to run the ball. Like, other than the backfield, like the playmakers in front of him, it's Hollywood and Mark Andrews. Snead is not that guy. Des Bryant is a shell of himself. The guy that they brought in at the quarterback position at the end of the day, I mean, they have RG3. RG3 is, I don't even want to call him a shell of itself. And then they put Huntley in, and he missed Hollywood Brown on a wide-open pass. And all you got to do is just hit him. He didn't even have to lead him like that. Hollywood burnt the guy so bad and missed him. Like, Baltimore has more issues to fix offensively than any other team, and that's out of Lamar's hands. Like, if he had a threat outside, they can't blitz him every play like that. They can't come after him running damn near 4.44, 3.40 and steaming downfield and blowing on dudes. They'd have to protect the field. And these defenses, they're like, oh no,
You're so right.
I know. I'm cooking. I got you. Don't worry. So that's what I'm saying. Like, it's unfair that that's the way that the rest of the nation or the NFL lovers pick on Lamar, saying, oh, he doesn't make these passes, he doesn't do this. It's like, if he had the targets to go to, then he would be more confident to make those throws. He is accurate. People don't give him the credit of his accuracy. And just thinking about the way that the AFC playoffs went down last year, the game that they lost to the Titans, he was hitting these dudes in the breadbasket. He was hitting these dudes on the numbers or in their stomachs, and they were dropping passes, just like they was doing yesterday in Buffalo. These dudes are dropping passes again. It's like, wait, what is he supposed to do? He can't throw it and catch it. And it's an unfortunate situation that you a quarterback that you favor, that you said, he can't throw it or catch it. He can't throw it or catch it. And that's the same way that I'm looking at Lamar, when people try to butcher him and say this out of third, it's like, be fair to him that he's been in the league for, 3 years? He's already gotten an MVP. He's carried his team to the playoffs. He got, even though it's not a tall thing to say, but he got Flacco removed from this team. Flacco won the Super Bowl. Like, you just don't remove this guy just because there's some rookie came in here. That's a new toy. That's a Ferrari that can run about a 4.40 and blow past linebackers, safeties, and corners are threatened by him too. If he had threats on the outside, it'd be great. But Hollywood Brown is a speedster, and Mark Andrews is a tight end with good speed. You know what I'm saying? Like, other than that, the secondary know that if they could, corral or bracket these guys the right way, they can stop the Ravens. They can stop the Ravens. If he had more threats and if Des Bryant could get his old self back to gear, then I'd consider it. But right now, it's like that offense needs help. I have to look at that offense needing help. Okay, so series, I see you fell off. I got you back in here. Your thoughts on the way that the game went down yesterday, Baltimore versus the Bills?
Gentlemen, I'm not surprised in the least bit, and here's why. I come on this platform and I sit on my social media pages and I get deemed a hater because the Baltimore Ravens and the Steelers are rivals. And I tell people the best way to beat the Baltimore Ravens is to first and foremost stop the run and make Lamar Jackson throw the football. And if you look at how last night's game unfolded, albeit the elements, were involved with the wind and, we never seen Justin Tucker miss a field goal in a game, let alone two. And he barely made the one field goal that he made. But the Ravens could not throw the football consistently. And so when the game unfolded the way it did, it didn't come as a shock to me. It's unfortunate that Lamar Jackson got concussed. I never want to see somebody go down or not be able to get back up after being hit. But if you want to call a spade, I don't think him being in the game would have made that big of a difference, especially him being hurt on the play in which he was hurt on. Keep in mind, this was a snap, one of several that got away from Lamar Jackson. And he was running back to pick up the ball, and, Edmonds hit him, and he bumped his head. So the ball was going to be right there. So, again, the game kind of unfolded how I thought it would. I was very, very shocked, if you will, that the Buffalo Bills came out and threw the ball on every play but one, and that was a Josh Allen scramble in the first half. Like, they understood the game plan. They understood that Baltimore Ravens front four, front seven was not to be played with, and that their bread was going to be buttered throwing the rock all over the field. So at the end of the day, salute to the Buffalo Bills. Keep it moving. I'm sitting in church today, and, my pastor is talking about, how in 2021 you're never going to really get to where you want to be in life with an old mindset. You have to purpose in your life, and you have to purpose in your heart to change your mind. And if you look at the Buffalo Bills and how they were previously constructed, that's exactly what took place. Josh Allen came into the league with one mindset. I'm going to run the ball. We're going to play defense. We're going to run the ball. In the offseason of 2019 going into 2020 season, the Buffalo Bills had a mind shift. They changed how they approached the game of football, and they changed how they called plays. You go out and get a caliber receiver in a Stephon Diggs. You work in a Cole Beasley. You draft a rookie who's another wide receiver, and you surround Josh Allen with legitimate weapons. And this team started to take off. They could already play defense. Sean McDermott is a defensive-minded coach, so they could already play defense. But you go and you surround Josh Allen with a very powerful arm of weapons to then help his team. Salute to the Buffalo Bills. I did not peg you guys for being this good. I actually wanted this matchup for my own self as a Steelers fan, because I thought we'd be able to go into Buffalo and avenge an early season loss. Unfortunately, the game wasn't really as close as the score indicated. If you look at that game, they beat the Ravens up. They were more physical. They beat them at the point of attack. The offensive and defensive line were able to give Josh Allen the significant amount of time to find Diggs. Like, if you look, Diggs was open all day. And that game would have been a whole lot more outlandish if Josh Allen were connected on significant balls down the field. But Diggs was open all day. Like, Josh Allen had all the time in the world to sit back there, read his second and third options, check a Facebook status, do his taxes, swipe left on a Tinder date, and still throw the ball down the field. It was insane the amount of time that they had. Salute to Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. Best of luck going forward. But, wow, they changed their mind and got themselves in the AFC Championship. Salute to them.
Swipe left on a Tinder date. Boy, I'm telling you. That's the crazy part, man. For them to have this camaraderie and them both not being in the league that long, being Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen, and having this turnover right now to be threats in the AFC and in the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? But for Josh Allen to do this at the clip to not only knock off the Steelers and then their run of trying to be unbeaten, but also giving Kansas City a threat earlier this season where they could have knocked off the Chiefs earlier, even though it took the Raiders to knock the Chiefs off. But the Bills are right within that game and potentially could set up for a rematch. You know what I'm saying? But I think that if the Chiefs win, it ends up being an Arrowhead, and that would be one hell of a storm of an upset if the Bills were able to go to Kansas City and knock off the reigning champs right now. So, and then that would ice the cake for me if Josh Allen was to knock off Mahomes in Kansas City. In Kansas City, yeah, okay, you can say Aaron Rodgers all you want. You can say him all you want. I will sit here with this Josh Allen claim, and I feel bad watching the fans be in that stadium last night, and it's like they hoping for people to like give consideration to Josh Allen to be the MVP because it's like they don't really have that big of a voice.
Go ahead.
They don't have that big of a voice to, get out to the rest of the world because they're in West New York compared to the names that you're used to hearing of the New York Giants or the New York Jets. The Bills are always looked at as that third team in New York. You know what I'm saying? And they haven't been strongly relevant since 1993-94, like the last time that they made the Super Bowl, and they haven't had this type of winning. Right.
I think that's
right. That's what, right. So and building this storm back up in front, Josh Allen is that guy, most valuable player. They couldn't do it with Cardell Jones. Cardell Jones is his backup. Cardell Jones came out of Ohio State. Everybody like Cardell Jones. He's 6'6". He got a cannon of arm. He's gonna be the next best thing. Cardell Jones is a backup and don't see time. And was here before Josh Allen. Same offense, ain't nothing changed. Josh Allen is doing it with that offense. Can scramble like Cardell could, but one's doing it at a better clip. Josh Allen's the MVP. I don't think the Bills would be where they would if this quarterback was not, manning the ship.
See, here's why I have an issue with that statement. Again, no disrespect to Josh Allen because I just praise how he's played this year. But unfortunately, he is playing in a year where Aaron Rodgers is doing what Aaron Rodgers is doing. And if Aaron Rodgers wasn't doing what he's doing, he's not out doing Patrick Mahomes and what he was doing. So I think he'll get some recognition, no shade to him. But to sit here and say he's the MVP, yeah, miss me with that one. Because in my honest opinion, Aaron Rodgers is doing it with much less. He's doing a significant less. You got Devontae Adams. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you got Devontae Adams and then who?
He has a ton of targets.
Come on now. Are we going to sit here on a Sunday morning, at about 12:30 or 12:15 and sit there and try to tell me that, Valdez Scantling and Alan Lazard and Robert Tonyan are legitimate people to be, talking about? You got Stephon Diggs, Cole Beasley, you got the Josh Brown, you got the other, the tight end, I think his name is Nuts, something like that. Like, at the end of the day, what Aaron Rodgers is doing, now again, this is no shade. I want to make sure I make this perfectly clear. This is no shade to Josh Allen, what he was able to do. But Aaron Rodgers is doing it with significant less. He sat here on this very program, on this very network, and crucified, nailed them to a cross, Jesus style, of what the Green Bay Packers did not do for Aaron Rodgers by getting him significant help on draft day and at the trade deadline. And all he did was go out there and make chicken salad out of chicken crap. Keep in mind, Devontae Adams missed significant time this year alone. You know what I'm saying? And Aaron Rodgers had these dudes, the number one seed in the NFC, playing for NFC Championship, arguably against either Drew Brees or Tom Brady, which is going to be must-see TV regardless. And literally, you can't take that away from A-Rod.
I'm gonna say it like this: Cole Beasley is not having gaudy numbers. John Brown is a good. But both of them are good receivers. Don't get me wrong. Like respectively for the name that they made, especially within the league, they're good receivers. But they don't have off the chart numbers. You know what I'm saying? And you don't even know who the tight end was, and it was Knox. Like you had to befuddle yourself. But you named the whole starting cast of the playmakers for Green Bay. Even Lazard being a 6'6" receiver, the guy has speed at being 6'6". That's a hard cover. That's a hardcover. That's a Calvin Johnson in a Green Bay jersey. And he's making things happen. Scantling is stepping up. Like, these players are playing good in front of Rodgers. Rodgers knows these guys. There's a consistency with them. These guys are all new to Josh Allen. All of them are new to him. Brown, Beasley. How long Beasley been there? Beasley been there for 2 years. Diggs just got there.
He's been there for 2 years.
Brown been.
They just got Diggs, so I give you that. They just got Diggs. You know what I'm saying? But
Brown. How long has Brown been there? Wait, hold on. You name Brown. How long has Brown been there?
I think Josh Brown's a rookie. So
they haven't been there long. He just picked this offense up and got them to be 13-3 in the AFC. Come on.
Yeah, again, no shade to that.
I'm not.
This is the same Packer team from last year. They didn't do that. Quarterback Aaron Rodgers was hurt last year. This is his rookie year. Valdez Scantley's been there for several years. They did nothing this offseason to give Aaron Rodgers any type of weapons, any type of anything. All that dude did this offseason was be pissed off because they drafted a quarterback, went into the lab and worked, and got the Green Bay Packers to where they are at now.
You do know that they went 14-2 last year. They went 14-2 last year. You do know that, right?
They went 14-2 last year, but that was on the strength of their defense, and then they got dogged.
The defense? Whoa! Time out. The Packers' defense is good?
The defense was decent last year. They got ran by the San Francisco 49ers, who ran on everybody.
And their defense couldn't stop the nosebleed. How are you saying that the defense is good if they get ran on? What?
Look at the statistics, bro. Last year, the Green Bay Packers had a top 10 defense.
Okay.
You got Google right there in front of you.
Wait. First off, here's the crazy part about it. It's like they passed the ball 8 times against that defense. They ran and knew what was coming, and they couldn't do nothing with it. And I don't care where they were ranked. That defense was getting pummeled against a rushing attack, and they had to take it personal this year, and they still were giving up rushing yards and were still able to do it because their offense was able to put up points the same way that they've been doing every year. Green Bay wasn't locking people up over the years. They were outscoring people with Aaron Rodgers. It's known that you got to go outshoot Aaron Rodgers, period. To beat the Packers, you got to outshoot them. You got to. It's not going to be one of those defensive battles. They'll probably win one because Rodgers will probably end up with the ball last. Okay. Well, you're not watching too much of the Packers. You're not watching a lot of the Packers.
I watch plenty of the Packers, unfortunately.
Well, you take it how you want. Well, I'm telling you this. Notably, all of the games that the Packers are playing, you're scoring. You beat them. It has to be over 27 or 30 points. That's a shootout. You're not watching the Packers lose games 17-14. That's not happening. It's not happening.
They won a couple of games like that this year. Again, Google TT. Look it up. Right.
I will, because I got to continue on with the show. We could have went back and forth earlier, but there's prior engagement.
Yeah.
So we're gonna get into the games. I try to extend this show as best as I can. I know we had 11 minutes, but I know it's gonna be hard to try and get a lot of breakdown and analysis. The first game is the Cleveland Browns visiting the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs, and it's in Vegas. You're up to something. I see it already. Yesterday, the Chiefs were favored 10.5. Today it's dropped to 9.5, so a whole point. There's a thing called the fishing rod and bait. Guess what the bait is hooked to? The hook. So that 9.5 is telling me something. There is something on that bait. There's a bait. Watch out, Baker. Listen, if Baker pull this off, James Greenwood, I hope you are listening to me. You better get back in this kitchen. You better get back in this kitchen if the Browns go in there and pull this one off. So I'm going to throw this one around the room. Barry, your thoughts on this game? Cleveland and Kansas City, who do you like and why?
Okay, so I like Kansas City in this game. I mean, I think Kansas City is the better team. I wouldn't be surprised if Cleveland pulls it out because Cleveland can run the ball, and they got I think they can keep that offense off the field. But I expect this to be a tough game. I think it's gonna be closer than people think. Kansas City could probably pull away late, but I think for probably the first 3 quarters will be a close game. I think Kansas City will probably pull it out, being at home. But I think Mahomes will probably have some not gaudy numbers. I think some average numbers. I would look for Tyreek Hill to kind of get going early, and then they can kind of slow him down and contain him. Ward is a very good cornerback, very underrated in this league. So that's what I'm thinking. I think Kansas City probably 27-20.
I want to say something interesting to you, Barry. You said slow Tyreek down. I don't even think that happens. Okay, so so Sirius left. I'm gonna go with the Chiefs at home. I think it's gonna be tough, but to see the Browns pull it off, in Kansas City would be epic. But that is another day. So Sirius just texted us and said that his picks were Kansas City and Tampa, so he's going with Tampa just to get that one out of the way. So I think it's a clean sweep, Kansas City. I do want to be surprised, Cleveland. Surprise me, Cleveland. Surprise me, Baker, because if you do, I think I'm going to have like a 30-minute section of the show where I'm coming after James Greenwood. I gotta. If he's able to do this is huge. So the next matchup is the one that I can't wait. My popcorn is ready. I got the seeds, I got the butter, and I'm ready to just go crazy on this popcorn. It is the third matchup with the second rematch of this season with the oldest quarterbacks going at it in probably postseason history. I have to look that one up. But it is Brady visiting Breeze once again, in which I was looking at this. I was saving this on my screen. Taysom Hill and Latavius Murray are likely out with injuries for the game today. So this actually spells a little bit deeper for the Saints because Taysom Hill is that, that Swiss Army knife that they can use at any given moment. But Tampa Bay has ramped up this offense, especially with Mike Evans having gone down, but he's back in the lineup as of last week. And Antonio Brown is back to being AB, booming again. This is the matchup I can't wait to see. Barry, your thoughts on this game? Who do you like and why? Buccaneers Saints.
Can you come back to me?
Okay, so I will go first on this one. I am going to favor Thomas Brady. I'm going to go with the Bucs on this one. I really feel like with this situation with Murray and Taysom Hill being out, I don't know if Breeze can get this one done. And it's something about Drew Brees that he's been losing at home in the playoffs the last 4 seasons. You know what I'm saying? He's lost that one game in Minnesota on the Hail Mary. He lost to the Rams on a crazy play. He lost last year to Minnesota in New Orleans. And this again with Tom Brady right here and, the aura of everybody following Brady and that offense clicking and Gronk actually getting more involved and Antonio Brown being the go-to guy now because I don't want to just say Mike Evans fell off, but it's like more or less Mike Evans has kind of been focused on within defensive matchups to try and slow that offense down, and AB's the guy underneath going crazy. So I'm going to go with the Bucs to pull this one off and be a 12-on-12 matchup next week with Rodgers and Brady. So, Barry, I don't know if you are ready. Your thoughts on this game and who do you like and why?
Okay.
So we may be.
No, I'm here. I'm here. Literally, got 20 people, 20 million things I'm trying to do right now. Listen, I like the Bucs in this game. I picked the Bucs. I think Tyson Hill and Murray are out, so the Saints are already single-handed. They're down a couple of players. I think even though it's at home, I think honestly the third time facing these guys, I think Tom Brady is going to figure it out and get these guys going. And I think I want to say 34-20, 21 maybe 22, maybe 34-23. I think the Bucs will probably get that offense going. I think AB and Evans are going to have some good games against that defense, and I think it's going to be not a runaway, but I think they're just going to have a lead. The Saints are going to touchdown to keep it close, and then the Saints, the Bucs will come right back and get it going. I just think the third time, I think Tom Brady's going to figure it out.
And that is icing on the cake. It's like Brady having another opportunity to get this done up against the defense that he's seen. And the Saints defense is okay. I'm not going to give them great or, the 85 Bears or the 2000 Ravens, but it's like I'm thinking that, the Saints have to do something to make it interesting for Brady for them to knock him off for a third time. And that secondary is going to have to find out a way to slow down Antonio Brown, excuse me. Antonio Brown has definitely stormed back into the latter part of the season. He's in mid-season form at the end of the season. Like he hasn't taken the beating like the rest of you guys have. So especially with the biggest chip in the world on his shoulder, he's never been to a Super Bowl, and he's with Brady. And the last time he was with Brady, he scored a touchdown in the game, and then that Monday they got rid of him. Like this is all too different. And I think the Bucs with the Saints missing pieces at home, I think Brees falls short. I think this may end up being the last time we see Drew Brees on a football field. This may be it. So, and I'm saying this now as being older in my life. Respect the greatness now. Respect what we're witnessing. In his last passing yard may end up being an NFL record that stands unless Brady comes around next season and take everything off the board, because that's what Brady's doing. I think he's more or less chasing Brees for the passing yard record and the touchdown record, because they flirting with each other, going back and forth, eclipsing each other. So, but I think this is Brady, and they trying to see if he could get to Tampa Bay and set history. All right, so Barry, I need a plug, close out, shout out, anything that you'd like to promote as we get out of the door to shut the doors here at the brunch.
Yeah, I mean, Sports City Chef's doing big things. The website is livesportscitychef.com. Go to there, the podcast, blogging, doing a lot of fun stuff on the site. We'll get that moving. Shout out! I gotta give a shout out to my buddies, Mike and Alex at Bad Weather Fans. They have a great podcast themselves, so I want to give them a big plug. They shout us out on their show, and I love their show. I love listening to those guys. Some Knicks fans like myself in pain, so got to give them a plug. But, listen, Sports City, we're doing big things. We'll see you Wednesday for the cookout, and more to come, man. So, having fun with this thing, TP.
He said they're Knicks fans. And I checked them out.
Yeah,
Barry told me to listen.
Alex is a Knicks fan.
Mike is a Nets fan.
Mike is a Nets fan, so he's happy about the Harden trade, and I'm sure he's salivating after the first game. He's a Nets fan, but Alex is a Knicks fan, suffering like myself.
Why when I get ready to start plugging out and doing what I need to do, this is what happens every single time. I can't cook. They take the pots from me. I get into a long debate about Josh Allen and what's going on with the offense and how he shouldn't be there. Then the dude jumps off the line. Like, this is what I'm going through, Sports City. Like somebody call somebody. Like 1-888-HELP Tymeless. Like that. Just send me help, because I got to deal with these people, man. It's tough dealing with Giants and Steelers and Yankees and Huskies. Like I'm going through a lot, man. I'm telling you, I try to drink water at the same time. They doing this to me. So, Sports City, just like Barry said, the website has been updated as much as possible. We got to fill this up with some more content and get you guys involved. We got a lot of endeavors that we're jumping into the new year. Thankful for everybody that's been supporting us. Bad Weather fans, we got you for real. I'm mad that Barry got you guys hooked into the Knicks. I'm gonna get y'all out of there. Even the Nets, I mean, that might be a jump. You guys might not be full-out Nets fans, but I'm going to challenge that. On that note, tell a friend that it's the chefs again. And if they don't know, now they know.